we would get booked to do this improv show. And the people in the show are so funny when you think about the people that are there. It was myself, Chris Jackson, who is George Washington, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is like huge star now, Utkarsh Ambudkar, who is like becoming a big movie star, Daveed Diggs, who is a movie star, Bill Sherman, who is the musical director for Sesame Street, the Shockwave, who is like the beatboxer for the Electric Company and like improv extraordinaire award winner. We had all these people in this group that nobody knew, and we were touring around the country doing this little improv group. Before. And so he calls me and says, "Hey man, I'm writing this new show," because he had just put In the Heights on Broadway. And he's like, "I got this part that I think you'd be good at. It's Hamilton. I think you'd be good at this part called Mulligan. I'm basing it on Busta Rhymes. You want to do this? We're going to do this concert at Lincoln Center." So we do the concert, and the same night, Casey Nicola is there. And he tells me, "By the way, a great job tonight, but Disney called. They're interested in Aladdin." So I had to make a choice because Tom Hill, the director of Hamilton, calls me and says, "Hey, we're doing Hamilton up in the boonies someplace to read it. Do you want to go?"
Some people need no introductions, but we're going to do it anyway. That's James Monroe Iglehart.
And his wife, Dawn.
Ever heard of Hamilton? Ever heard of Aladdin? Ever heard of Broadway? James is on the Mount Rushmore right now. For us, we traveled out to Manhattan maybe about 2 years ago, and all of Manhattan had James's face just plastered street after street.
Every billboard.
Every single billboard.
Every sign.
Exactly. And he was holding out his lamp as if to suggest that he could make your dreams come true, too.
We are spoiled rotten to know them. Completely spoiled.
Forgot to mention that. They're also our cousins.
Most people who know of James, they know his huge personality and how gregarious he is. They don't know a lot about Dawn because she has chosen to remain off social media. But the great thing about Dawn is that she also is larger than life.
She also is larger than life.
She has an amazing personality, has so much love in her heart to give, is spunky, is funny. She compliments James so well, and I hope that you guys get to see a little bit of her amazing personality too on this episode. We feel so grateful that she took the time to sit down and talk with us as well.
So here they are.
Both one of a kind, James and Dawn Iglehart.
To paint a little bit of a picture, we're West Coast, you're East Coast.
Yes.
This is social distancing at its like geographical finest and also philosophical finest, but it's also overcoming the social distancing along with everybody Zoom recording conversations, calling them podcasts or calling them work conversations or whatever. Yeah. This is the time we're living in.
It's the new norm.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Someone coined the phrase, I don't know who, but they said the Corona culture.
Corona culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Corona culture.
It has become that. It's very strange.
That's just it. The Corona culture is my normal everyday life.
Right. Exactly.
Introverts have been waiting their whole lives for this moment.
You're like, I'm doing this all the time.
Yeah, you're like, my life is exactly the same. I don't know what's going on.
She's like, nothing's really changed.
Yeah. But people are more communicative because they're bored. So that's kind of nice.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. So describe your view right now, out the window, if you were to look out the window.
Our view is of Manhattan, the Manhattan skyline from about 70th Street over to 34th or about 30th.
All the way down.
We can see all the way to 30th. So we can see the Chrysler Building. We can see the Empire State Building, which is my favorite building. And if we look really far, we can actually see the one building. So World Trade Center building.
So I want to know how you guys first met.
Oh Lord. It's a matter of debate is the problem. Because he seems to think it was in the library, and I think it was in the hallway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a game of Clue.
One thing we do agree on is like my mom was teaching a junior high school class, and my wife was in it, and she said, "Hey, there's a tall girl named Dawn. She's really nice. When you see her, say hello." And so I said hello in the library.
I remember you stopping me in the hallway and saying, "Hey, I know you." And I was like, "Who are you?" And you're like, "My mom is Sandra Iglehart." And I was like, "Oh, she probably hates me because I talked a lot in her class." So I remember that conversation. And then the second time we saw each other was in the library.
Maybe you're right. After all, it doesn't. At this point of our relationship, I just say you're right. So she's probably right.
You're right.
So how many years have you guys been married?
Officially married, like I do, 18 years.
18 years. And then how long has it been since you guys have been dating each other?
22 years.
22 years.
22 years. So at that,
and
whenever
almost 30.
Almost 30 years.
It'll be 30.
Wow.
That's incredible.
So whenever that moment was when you guys both decided this is my person, was it like a beautiful synergistic opposites attract, or was it like kind of not that kind of clunky like?
Nothing James ever does
So
with me is romantic.
You realize I'm wearing a Muppet shirt, right? So if you could think of the Muppets as a great basis for my life, that is pretty much what's happening. Poor Dawn is, an awesome HBO show, and I am the Muppets. So we talked and for a long time, and then finally I decided, oh wow, this is the girl for me. But because we were such good friends, and Dawn realizes now she didn't realize then, that you can't, whatever she says, I just take it face value and I just say it. Like, oh, she said this, she wants this. So she was like, we could probably, we're the type of people that could be in a relationship, and then like, if we broke up, we could still be friends. Mm-hmm. So
we did.
Yes. So while we were driving, it was January 8th, my brother's birthday. We're on the way to see my brother. I looked at her and I said, hey, why don't we give this a try?
Why don't we give this a try?
We can be my girgirlfriend. We'll give this a try. And I said, if it doesn't,
why don't we give this a try? And I was like, give what a try? I don't even know what you're talking
about. I said, if it doesn't work, we can always still be friends.
Give it a try.
And the only thing that kept her from jumping out of the car is it was moving.
I'm not periodically and look at him when we're stopped at stoplights, and I go, still giving this a try?
I'm like,
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, there's a beauty to growing up together.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that familiarity.
And your wedding was beautiful.
Thank you.
And you were like tiny.
Yes.
I remember dancing, and it was just such a fun wedding. And James, you sang.
I did. I did.
What a baller move.
Yeah.
Well,
your own wedding.
So
that's pretty good.
I asked her to be my girlfriend in a car. I asked her to marry me in a Denny's.
Denny's restaurant.
Which was also bad because Dawn hates Denny's. So I thought it'd be funny if I asked her to marry me on a Denny's, because then whenever she looked at Denny's, she'd have to have I hate it, but I can't hate it because Dawn doesn't wear it. So it took me literally 14 years in my mind to make up for all that. So I asked her to marry me again on our anniversary on the Aladdin stage at the New Amsterdam. I had my friend Jazz was playing the guitar. I had everybody around. I bought a brand new ring. She didn't know. I sang our song from the wedding. So that was the romantic one. It took 14
the redo.
So romantic. And people can watch that online, right? Or did we just get to see it? Because I remember seeing
you guys
got to see it. We showed the family.
Public records.
Showed the family.
Okay.
We showed the family,
Yeah.
What's funny is that somebody was starting to record. There was somebody on stage who was getting a backstage tour, and they pulled up their phone and they started recording it. And then somebody else did, and my makeup
artist Cheryl Thomas, she was like, "Hey, no, this is private. This is not for you. This is not for your Instagram." And the people were mad. They were like, "Well, why can't? No, this is not for you." No.
You didn't have to say anything. She did.
I love it. I love it.
So, how do you guys support each other, like career-wise, and just you're married, so obviously there's.
I live off her money. I see no reason to work hard.
To be productive or anything. Yeah.
She's brilliant. I sit at home and do absolutely nothing.
That's probably true right now. Just kidding.
Like, this is the most I've seen him probably in our entire 18 years of marriage.
Wow. The world is like resetting.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to just have him home, like helping me cook or like doing random things that we don't get to do as a normal couple would usually do because you're not home. So,
but James, you share your relationship quite a bit on social media, and it's part of your story. It's part of who you are, and I think that's one of the things that I feel like has made you, like relatable, and it's it's endearing too. You say you're not romantic, but I don't see very many other people in your status doing that.
What's funny is my mom was very strong about, listen to what your wife has to say. Your wife has an intuition that you don't have. Guys are fixers. Ladies have a more emotional take on life, and they can sense things that guys can't sense. So I took that to heart. The Bible says, leave thy mother and father and cleave, to your partner. Fine. That's what I do. And also, Dawn is brilliant. So I know, I told her yesterday, I said, I've gotten to the point now where I wouldn't lock myself in a closet, but I still might lock myself in the house. So I need her. Yeah. So I talk about her a lot because we've been best friends for years. So
I've said this a million times, I'll say it again. And clearly he's brilliant because I would not be with him and married to him if he wasn't. It would drive me bananas. And a long time ago, I would have murdered him and thrown him in the hood. He's clearly a smart guy too. But I think from a perspective of supporting, I think we come from a place of, if we make each other happy, like if I focus on making him happy and he focuses on making me happy, then we're both happy all the time. So we're constantly trying to think of ways to make the other one happy and to do something nice or to be there for the other one. So I could be sitting in the bed and be like, babe, I'm thirsty. Give me some water. And he'll just get up and get it. He doesn't complain. He just goes and does it because every night he comes home and I've cooked dinner. Doesn't matter how long I've worked. Doesn't matter if I just got off a phone call or I'm cooking while I'm on the phone. I still make dinner for him every night because I know he appreciates coming home. So there's little things that you do that mean a lot to the other person. But I think a lot of people get into this whole, it's me and caring about what you need. And in a relationship, I just think that's destructive, right? You just can't do that. You have to be thinking about what the other person needs. There's nothing wrong with taking time for yourself. Don't get me wrong. Because I do that all the time. But I play video games. But, and he watches wrestling, right? But if I was to say, honey, I really need you, is it okay if you don't watch wrestling? He won't watch wrestling, right? We'll come and we'll play games or do something else. So.
Yeah. So being cognizant of the other person.
Yes.
And, meeting each other halfway.
Yeah. It's so funny to me because, we've got similar relationship dynamics in some ways as you guys where
it's just you've added 2 tiny munchkins to your
we do have
than our 2 cats.
I was gonna say you got 2 munchkins or more than 2 of your own, or do you have just 2 cats right now?
Ours are old now. They take care of us. Here we send them to Starbucks. We're like, hey,
that's the coolest thing. You'll see that when the boys get older and you can actually trust them with the car.
It's great.
All your chores are cut in half. Actually, I had a theory. I told my dad this years ago. When he made me go out and do some kind of chore. And I said, I really only think that parents have children so that there are certain chores in the house they don't have to do anymore. It's like if you have grass, your husband prays that you have, children. So you can go, hey, go out there and cut the grass. And it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. It's like, take the garbage out. Oh, why don't you drive? And then the mom's like, why don't you, don't drive. And then when you finally can drive, why don't you go to the grocery store and drive? You're like, you only had us to do stuff.
I know I'm just trying to raise Sebastian to be able to cook for us.
Yeah.
But he actually likes sitting and folding laundry, and he feels so empowered and excited. Nice. And, just little things that you slowly equip them with. And I feel like it's brainwashing, really.
Yeah.
Oh, it's total brainwashing.
Yeah, it's fantastic, honestly. And I need to have more of these little minions, So yeah, but anyway.
I need to step up.
When the kids come over, they do it. We're like, they make us dinner. They go out and get stuff. We're like, I come home and when they're here, I come home, Don's on the couch and they're cooking. I'm like, yes, perfect.
Mm-hmm. You're like, this is awesome.
And they go to the grocery store to get the groceries to cook.
Yeah. Oh, it's so nice. Do they get to stay with you? How often?
They come pretty frequently. Not right now, clearly. Mm-hmm. But normally they're here. They would be here actually now because it was spring break. So usually they come on spring break. They usually spend most of the summer with us. They come every Christmas. So they're here for the entire Christmas break typically.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Now that they're older and they don't have school, some of them don't have school, they'll come whenever they can get vacations. So it's much
perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So I want to hear about the onset of your careers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the beginning.
The beginning.
Mine's not nearly as interesting though.
So
that is not true, actually, but okay.
Well, I think the juxtaposition is a really kind of interesting thing, right? Because you guys met so early, and you guys have both taken your career paths in like different directions, but you've done it together.
Right.
Yeah, at the same, yes, totally different directions, but at the same time, we met in show choir. I knew that's what I wanted to be. Dawn knew she wanted to be a scientist. We knew in high school what we wanted to do. So this trajectory of our careers, Dawn always said, people always ask, they go, "Oh my gosh, did you ever think this would happen?" And the artist answer is, the humble answer is, "Oh my God, no, I just wanted to do art. I just wanted to do as much good as I could." And our answer is, hell yeah, that's what we wanted to be. This was the plan in the beginning.
Oh my gosh. And it's, you can say, oh, it's a blessing.
Yes, it is a blessing.
It worked out, but at the same time,
this was the plan.
We tried to be here. Like everybody, not everybody is fortunate enough to make it and make it as a career in what he does for a living, but
or what she does.
But it's a little easy. It's a little easier to do what I do.
Not many people do it though, so that says something.
Yeah, because nobody wants to do quality. Very few people want to do quality and regulatory, except now with the coronavirus. Now people suddenly care.
Yeah. So tell us what you do specifically, Dawn, and your perspective on what's going on right now in the world.
Yes.
So I currently work for a company it's a company that's known for DNA sequencing instruments and reagents, called Illumina. But the portion that I work for is actually the clinical lab portion. So I do quality and regulatory I have a global team. Part of it's in the UK, part of it's in California, and we have a couple of clinical tests that we run. So there's a non-invasive prenatal test, rare and undiagnosed genetic disease testing, most of the testing for Ancestry.com, some of it. And in the UK, we were working on the 100,000 Genomes Project, which was a big project in the UK. So now what we found ourselves doing is taking a lot of tests from other folks with COVID going on. There's a lot of labs that can no longer do an IPT or can't do some of that other stuff. So we're sort of focusing on helping out where we can to take that work that we can do so that they can focus on other testing. So we've actually been able to start to take over some other tests that they're not able to run, so that they can focus on doing the testing for COVID. So, and my company supplies, Illumina supplies sequencing instruments and reagents for a lot of the people who are doing the research.
Gotcha.
Vaccines and how Corona works, how the COVID-19 works and all that other stuff, and how it's mutating and if it is and all that other stuff. So anyway, whatever.
Very, very relevant.
Yeah.
And not a whole unlike what you do, James, right?
Yeah.
I
very similar.
I sing and dance for the people who are quarantined at home during the COVID-19 outbreak, while they're at home, pandemic, while they are desperately trying to find something to look at. I'm doing my best to put as much stupid content out there that people can take their minds from the fact that they're stuck at home.
So,
well, we appreciate you both. Thank you for your service.
All right, Miss Nurse, whatever.
Okay. So share each other's, or from your perspective, share the other's big break.
Oh boy, we're also being stalked.
Izzy's gonna come over and say
our cat somehow found her way
maybe they're gonna have to share too.
Yeah.
Your big break, I would argue, okay, there's gonna be two, right? So one of them would be when he first started on Broadway, which would have been Derek Baskin, who's one of our best friends in the whole world, suggested that he take over a role that Derek was in on Broadway, in Spelling Bee. And so that was James's first Broadway role. So that's kind of like would be considered his big break, but really like Aladdin and being the genie was probably the big, right? Like everybody knew, and it was a big thing for him and stuff like that. So that's
describe the first night that you saw him perform.
I cried like a baby. I think the part that got me was we were watching it and Friend Like Me ended. And this is, opening night. So it's all a bunch of industry people and famous people and, people who are friends and family and everything else. And I've been to a million Broadway shows and I've never seen a show stop in the middle of the show because everybody jumped out of their seats and were screaming and applauding and a standing ovation in the middle of the show. And it was for my husband. I was like, oh my God. And I just started bawling. But the funny part is that I didn't stand up. Everybody else was standing up and I didn't stand up. And because I didn't stand up, the kids who were all there, none of them stood up. So the only people not standing up for him was his family. All of us were standing down. Because the kids were looking at me like, do we stand up? Because none of us knew how to behave. We were like, I've never seen this happen. And they were like, Auntie's not standing up, so I don't stand up. But I was bawling and I was afraid he'd see me because he was on stage crying.
I was trying not to. The funny thing is we had a couple preview nights and people stood up at the preview night. And I was like, oh, these are just our broke friends who are standing up because they got it for free. This is a free show. They're like, oh, we're going to stand up for the free show. Yeah. And it happened the next night and the next night. And when it got to opening night, I'm like, it's not going to happen opening night. When it happened opening night, I was like, this is real. Yeah, oh my gosh, these people. And then we had to finish the show. We had to go on. So it was.
How do you even do that?
Yeah, that's when you're like, I'm out of here. Yeah. Peace.
Exactly, time to go.
My brain
mic drop.
I was like, nope, we need to go. We got to finish this.
We got to finish it.
So was it
what the next line was. Seriously, I want to know.
How do you even pick up? But what song was it? Was it Friend Like Me?
Friend Like Me. Oh God, it's Friend Like Me.
Yeah.
It's so fun that was your experience because my very first experience watching any Broadway show was Aladdin. And it was, and to be honest with you, Bria knows this, but I had a certain judgment on Broadway. It's not really my thing. I don't musicals, not really my thing. So I went into it a really kind of sour attitude. And it was by happenstance that we found out that you were the genie and you were on Aladdin when I was just I think if we're going to watch one Broadway show, I think it would be Aladdin. And Bria's watching some previews of the show and we're getting ready and all of a sudden she's like, wait a second.
James.
That's James.
Yeah, because we were just
okay.
thinking about shows we wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my family.
Yeah, that's my family. And I was like, that person?
Yeah, I was like,
seems like a big deal, babe. I think. I don't know.
I remember actually him being in Broadway. I knew the spelling bee thing, and I was like, this was pretty new. I just didn't know. And sure enough, so we were able to come and visit and see you perform.
And it was
I was grinning ear to ear. I couldn't even handle how happy your performance was. And then you gave us a shout out at the end of the song, and we were just
chills.
Oh my gosh!
But
we died.
Yeah, so
just for a second.
Bria had been to Broadway shows before, so she was not new to the thing. I was completely new, and I was
blown away.
To say blown away is the understatement.
Knocked over.
I just remember you guys coming back to the apartment, and that's when I realized I was like, Kevin is the ball of questions because you were like, okay. I need to know from top to bottom everything. And it was so great because I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And the girls went off went somewhere. And Kevin and I just stood, just talked about theater.
I need to know the details.
Oh, I remember the carpet, the magic carpet question.
Yeah,
we were how did that even happen?
I still haven't told anybody. I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
No, a magician never shares.
Nope.
But yeah, so back on what you were saying, Dawn, painting that picture as wife, I can only imagine how those emotions and also the time that you had watched James's career for such a long period of time, then all of a sudden come to fruition. So James, at that point, I'm watching James and James is Genie is James. The two, it's you weren't playing a character, you were that person.
Well, I think what's interesting is that Robin Williams, who was a big hero of mine, Robin is pretty much the genie. Robin is the genie. There's a lot of, Genie stuff they wrote, but there's so much of Robin in it. And I knew that if I played this, I couldn't play it like Robin, but I knew the Genie-esque is bringing as much of yourself to this role as you can. Right. And so all of the silly, I always kept saying, what are all the things that I find funny? What are all the things that I find silly? What are all the things that I do in the grocery store to Dawn when we're shopping that I can now do on stage? So I brought all of that silliness to the role. And I was like, and I was having that's the one role I've had the most fun doing.
Now let's flip it. James, okay. You tell Dawn's break.
What's funny is Dawn's break happened gradually. It was like 3 different moments. It's like the first time we were out of college and she got a real science job, and she had to drive an hour away really, really early in the morning. And we were just so proud that she got to do that gig. But then a couple of jobs later, she went to this place and met this wonderful woman named Eileen. And Eileen and her not only became great business partners, but they became best friends. And the best way to describe it for all you nerds out there is like in Star Trek, there's Picard and Riker. And so if Eileen is Picard, her number 1 is Dawn.
You're so nice because I actually usually reference Pinky in the Brain. And I'm usually Pinky and she's the brain. Like, that's actually much more common. It's usually me going, where are we going to find chops in our side?
It's usually her going, number 1, what are we doing? And she goes, I think this. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. So Eileen came in and they became friends and she became more of a mentor. And so once Dawn realized, I think I want to do this quality thing. Dawn was doing that. Eileen left and went to a different company. And when she went to a different company, she called Dawn. And Dawn went over there and built their quality system. And then when Eileen left to another company and Dawn was ready to cut, Dawn went to that company and built that. And so what's really crazy is she left one company for a small company, and that big company bought that small company. So Dawn ended up working for the same company twice on accident.
That's
but
so
I think
funny.
The big break was her meeting Eileen, because in meeting Eileen, when Eileen would go to a different level, she would look at Dawn and basically kind of nicely, but basically kick her out of the nest and go sink or swim. Funny.
It always tells me it's good for my career.
Yeah.
Like, every time I know she says it's good for your career, I'm like, I'm not going to want to do whatever you're going to tell me. I'm so not going to want to do that.
But what's funny is
she's not wrong.
I will say that there's a small kernel of a break that doesn't seem like a break, but it is. When Dawn was a teenager, she worked at KFC and Kentucky Fried Chicken. For all those people who don't realize that KFC is Kentucky Fried Chicken, her boss made her an assistant manager over the people who were in their 20s. So Dawn has been managing people since she was a teenager. So her now, you flash forward all these years and she has this quality, this team under her, this team in the Bay Area, this team in Southern California, this team in the UK. She is in charge of that. She was bred from the time she was a teenager to be doing what she's doing now. And it's awesome because these people who are brilliant scientists.
I don't know why they want to.
The funny thing is Dawn's mind is extremely organized, and she can she's so good at finding, you give her a puzzle, she finds a way to fix it by thinking outside the box. And always has, thank you, baby, always has like 5 or 6 different ways of, doing it. So it's really kind of cool to watch.
That drives some bananas though. Like, he's saying it like nicely right now, but
because my mind can only take. Okay, I'm an artist.
He's always like, give me one option, so just one. I'm like, I can't.
I can see 3 options: A, B, C. That's it. And also, I think in color. Like she thinks in an Excel sheet, and I think like a blank page with an Apple pencil. You just drawing stuff. Hey. Somehow we're gonna make all that in one line. And when I come up with an idea, several times I've come up with an idea. I'm like, I want to do this. And she goes, okay, what's the reality of doing this? I'm like, well, this is what I want to do. And she's like, okay, well, if you do this, you have to do this. So I come up with the concept and then she comes up with a way to do it. And then I execute or find the people to execute. So that's what I would say.
Brought it back to you though at the end. That was good.
Well,
I wasn't going to say anything.
I don't know if you can look around the room. This whole room is about me.
Yeah, I do see Aladdin and Hamilton back on the wall there.
So you mentioned Spelling Bee, and then you mentioned Aladdin. But I'm assuming there was stuff in between those two. And
there was a show in between those two. There was a couple shows actually. When I got to Broadway, it took me.
Yeah, our cat's gonna try.
She tried. She almost fell.
Go ahead. It's
okay. Sorry.
She's a cat.
Right. She'll be fine.
They work themselves out. Okay.
When I first got to Broadway, it was hard because one, we had no money. None. I distinctly remember a conversation
people think they pay well, they don't pay well. People think
they think you're on Broadway now, man. You are rolling and go. You're like, no, I'm not. And this conversation with the MD, musical director, and he was like, James, you're on Broadway now. You can spend some money. And I'm like, no, I can't. I am literally living in a sublet, doing this show while paying rent back in California. So no, I can't. So with Spelling Bee, I didn't stay in New York. When it ended, I came home.
Because I didn't live out here when he was doing Spelling Bee or Memphis. I still had to live in California because I was the one making the majority of the money.
Yeah.
And I couldn't leave and come out here with him. I literally made like twice or three times maybe even what he made at the time. So it didn't make any sense for me to move. So I had to come back and forth. So we actually lived apart probably for the first couple of years of our marriage.
Yeah.
I think I handled that. It was bad. It sucked, but it was really tough. But at the same time, you know, like people, because I think one of the things that actually, like, the one thing that people are insensitive about when you are going through something like that is that people will always say, oh, well, I wish I had some time away from my husband, right? I'm like, well, then maybe you shouldn't be married.
Yeah. Right.
You're like, that's confusing.
It's like, oh, man, your wife is gone. You can do what you want. I'm like, actually, no, I can. I'm at home. Rest. This was before Disney Plus. I had like fine DVDs.
Yeah, there was no video chatting. Like we barely had.
You had to go to Blockbuster.
What's really funny is during Spelling Bee is when the iPhone came out, the first iPhone.
It's a long time ago.
And I wanted one so bad, but it was so expensive. And like I said, we weren't making any money, none. So after Spelling Bee, I came home and I did a few shows in the Bay. But because the funny thing is when I was in the Bay Area, all the New York people would come and get all the lead roles. All the Bay Area people would be the understudies. So, and I always told myself I never wanted to do that because I knew how bad it felt because the New York people always made us feel like we were underlings or not as good. And the people who run the theaters made us feel, not the stage managers, but some of the producers and things made the Bay Area feel like you're lucky to be here with these New York people. And then I started realizing that New York people I was working with, they were the understudies of the big stars. So here I was doing a starring role on Broadway. So when I came home, they were like, hey, you want to do the show? And I was like, only if I'm not taking a job from somebody else. I know what it's like. I don't want to do that. And then Memphis came up. But Memphis also took a long time to put together. Memphis we went to San Diego. We went to La Jolla first. Then we went to Seattle, then to Broadway. But in between that time, we were about to go to San Diego, and I needed a few more weeks of health insurance. And I called.
And we needed a paycheck.
And I called a friend of mine in San Jose. His name was Bob Bones. And I said, hey, I heard you guys are doing Beauty and the Beast. And I know you already have it cast. I said, but look, can I be a spoon or a plate or something? And he looked at me, he says, James, you realize who you are? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you want to be in the chorus? I was like, man, I just need to get 3 weeks just to get to this Memphis thing. He calls me back. He was like, first of all, we won't do that to you. He goes, but would you be the bookseller so you have a part? And would you be the understudy for the Beast? He goes, and you don't have to be a plate or a spoon. You literally could be the bookseller and like get off stage and like sing off stage for us. And I was like, sure. So that guy was a blessing to me. And we went into Memphis and literally it went.
But I'm going to stop though for a second because it was one of the times that I'm super proud of you though, because you didn't let your ego get in the way and said you took care of your family. And not everybody would do that. So I want to point that out, that he's always been very good about taking care of the family regardless.
Yeah.
So with that, we went to Memphis. Memphis, like I said, went to those cities. Then we went on Broadway, and that was a hard role too because people didn't think our show was going to last because we were the show with no stars. Brand new show, brand new writers, no stars, and we were up against what was supposed to be the juggernaut: Spider-Man, Addams Family. We was what was it? Forgot what else. Oh, Green Day was out. I mean, there was all these big shows supposed to destroy us, and Spider-Man didn't come. Thank God. It came last year. Next year, it was killing people. Addams Family.
Yeah, I remember that.
And once the teenagers left, nobody cared about Green Day's show.
Although it's a good show.
It's a great show. No, it's a great show. It's just the old people were literally going, it's too loud. So everybody came to Memphis. And Memphis ended up winning the Tony that year. So while we were doing Memphis, I distinctly remember we were in the apartment across the way. And I saw they were doing Aladdin. And I called some people, got an audition, and the rest is history.
So he's saying nicely, so I'm going to tell the real story. He whined on the street because he hadn't been called in for Aladdin. So he was like, they're doing Aladdin and no one called me for the Genie, and he was totally whining. And like I think it was like the next day.
It was like about 2 weeks later.
It was not that long. It was like 2 days later.
Well, because what's funny is luckily our director was directing a show called Book of Mormon. And two of the people in the show, Jared Gertner and a friend of mine named John Eric Parker, told them, hey, have you seen James Iglehart? He was like, I don't know that guy. You should go see him. He went to see Memphis, saw me. I got the audition, and then the rest is history. But that's kind of the trajectory was how that happened. But while we were doing again with Aladdin, we didn't know if that was going to work. Disney was still trying to figure out what they were doing. And I got a call from Lin-Manuel Miranda, who says, hey, man, I'm in Freestyle Love Supreme as well.
Which started way before all of this, before he ever made it to Broadway, when he was still doing Spelling Bee in Boston. We actually... I
auditioned. My friend Chris Jackson, who is the original George Washington.
With the Jacksons. On their pull-out
George
couch.
Washington. And he calls me and says, yo, man, I got this hip-hop improv group. You got to come down and audition for it. So we're in Boston. We drive to New York. I auditioned.
Stayed on their couch.
Stayed on their couch. And I auditioned. And so in between the shows, we would get booked to do this improv show. And the people in the show are so funny when you think about the people that are there. It was myself, Chris Jackson, who is George Washington, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is like huge star now, Utkarsh Ambudkar, who is like becoming a big movie star, Daveed Diggs, who is a movie star, Bill Sherman, who is the musical director for Sesame Street, the Shockwave, who is like the beatboxer for the Electric Company and like improv extraordinaire award winner. We had all these people in this group that nobody knew, and we were touring around the country doing this little improv group.
Before.
And so he calls me and says, hey man, I'm writing this new show, because he had just put In the Heights on Broadway. And he's like, I got this part that I think you'd be good at. It's Hamilton. I think you'd be good at this part called Mulligan. I'm basing it on Busta Rhymes. You want to do this? We're going to do this concert at Lincoln Center. So we do the concert, and the same night, Casey Nicola is there. And he tells me the show, of course, the concert that night is, people go nuts. They know this thing's going to be huge. They don't know how big. They just know it's going to be huge.
Right.
So we are there. We do the songs. And that night I got a call from Casey. He's like, by the way, a great job tonight, but Disney called. They're interested in Aladdin. So I had to make a choice, because Tommy Kail, the director of Hamilton, calls me and says, hey, we're doing Hamilton up in the boonies someplace to read it. Do you want to go? And I said, I would love to, but let me see how far this Disney Genie thing. And he goes, I totally understand. Do your thing. Blessings to you. We got you. And I said, same to you. Aladdin happens. Hamilton happens. I win a Tony. Hamilton wins all the Tonys. I'm there at the Tony party. I'm there at the opening night. We're all around each other, all happy for each other. They've come to my show. I've come to their show. Freestyle Love Supreme is just living right now. 3 years into Aladdin, Tommy calls again, and he goes, hey, you want to return to the Ham fam? What do you think? And I was like, oh, okay. I said, but I don't know if I can do Mulligan right now. And he's like, no, we want you for Thomas Jefferson. I was like, okay, that I can do.
Dang.
So that's the whole sequence. I mean, what an amazing crossroads that you had. But you said that at the time you saw Hamilton being a big thing.
We knew it was going to be something, because it wasn't like anything that was out there. It wasn't like this man took two concepts that should not go together. I'm going to take a book about a historical person who was not a president, and I'm going to have him rap against people.
Yeah. And make the entire show rapping.
And make the entire show rap. That's what I'm going to do. That's my concept. And everybody's like, not going to work. And the only people who thought it was going to work were all his boys. We were like, this could work, because we all heard the music. We were like, this is slamming.
I think once it went to whatever.
Once it went to Lincoln Center. Yeah, once it went to the public, that was it.
It was over.
Was there a song like OG that you were like, this is my jam? Like, I love this song.
What's funny is my shot. I was a part of the original. My shot was originally just Mulligan and Hamilton. So it was me and Lynn at Lincoln Center just doing this rap together. It was we knew then. And also, Say No to This. Say No to This was dope from the beginning. It has not changed. The original Say No to This that we heard is the same Say No to This in the show. It's really cool.
Wow. Do you feel like when you performed it for the first time that you were able to like have those lyrics forever? I mean, do you forget them, or how does that work? Because there's so much content in such a short time.
You still forget them. The other day, what did you do the other day? The other day you came home and you were like, you just said nothing.
I just said nothing. I was looking at him, and my brain, like, we call it going into the white room. Yeah. And my brain like went to the white room, and I could not find my way out. And my man, I hear the beat. I know where it's supposed to be. And he goes, Aaron Burr. And I start rapping.
So like, I mean, do you feel like the audience is like, they know what's up at that point? Or do you guys pull it off?
Because sometimes we'll fake it and make it sound like it's a sound person issue, but sometimes you just can't, and they just know it's you.
Well, I know. I had much more leeway. So one night I was actually in his dressing room and listened to Friend Like Me every night, and I happened to be there the night when I think he forgot everything. Yeah. Like, I hear over the speaker, I hear him go, I don't know what I'm supposed to say right now.
I didn't mean to say it.
He started asking people if they knew what his lines were.
I didn't mean to say it out loud. It just came out.
Though, people just started laughing. They thought it was part of the show, and they afterwards they totally thought it was part of the show. They thought he was just improving it. And I was like, no, he had no idea what the lines were. He was waiting. There were people in like the pillars,
the magic pillars. They were saying,
they were trying to
curly
say
fries,
lines to
curly fries. I was like, the curly fries. I hear him go, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Do you know what I'm supposed to say? Like, started asking the audience. I was like,
that is so funny.
I was having a ball with the audience. And,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like they probably felt like they were in on something special.
They do.
I think they like it when people
live theater. There's nothing like it.
Right.
Yeah,
what's one of your favorite lines from the Genie to deliver?
I think the Genie is here. And when I would come out and I would go, I was like, who am I? Who do you think? You get a wish. The Genie is here. Because it was based on this one. And the funny thing I used to say, the line used to be, Oprah may be gone, but Genie is here. That used to be the line, but Disney didn't want any references to anybody that could try to get money from this. So they were like, how can we do this in a way where we don't say her name?
Nod to her. But
so that was that. Also, I loved that at the end of Friend Like Me, I could give shouts out to people. I would always give shouts out to my makeup artist, my wig person, the director, and then I would find some star like you guys or family or some star to say something to.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you had that like flexibility in your role.
I feel like there was also a line that got cut, and I was so mad. I told the ladies, I would look at Aladdin, I was like, ladies, you can wash your clothes on this washboard, and they took it out right before opening. I was so mad.
James,
that's great.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So when you look back on your career and where you're heading, what's been some of the hard stuff? What's been the hardest part? And this is for both of you guys. What's been the hardest part of your journey?
Genie. Being the Genie. Being in Aladdin was actually the hardest because you don't know what that's going to be like. And people kept saying your life is going to change, your life's going to change. People say crap like that all the time. You don't believe anything they're saying, right? So you don't really know what they're saying until you get there. And we're going to a show and we can't go. We went to go see Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Yes.
And we went backstage to go say hi to Lena
Neil Patrick Harris.
And we went to walk out the stage door, And he walked out the back side of the stage door, and people in Hedwig's stage door who were waiting or who were out there with Neil Patrick Harris started screaming for him. And it wasn't even his show. And then he just was saying to Neil Patrick Harris, good job or whatever, and was like kind of patting him on the back or something, like joking with him. And he turned around and you could see like crazy flashes because people were trying to take pictures of the two of them together because it was like the two of them together. So you could see. And then I was like escaping because this is what I do, right? So I tried to escape as quickly as I possibly could so that I wasn't anywhere near any of it. I'm standing on the side and there's a young girl behind the barricade and she's looking at me and I was like, I kind of smiled. I was looking back and I was just kind of standing on the side. She's like, you're Dawn, right? And I was like, uh-huh. And she's like, you're James's wife. You guys met in high school. And she starts to go over my whole life. And I was like, uh-huh. Right? But it's like, okay, not only do they know who he is, but they actually know who I am. And so now when I go to Hamilton, or I've been to Hamilton a couple of times, and I'll walk past the line and people will be like, oh my God, that's James's wife. Or they'll start talking to me, or I can hear the whispers, or, you know, especially after the whole cancer thing, people are like, oh my God, how are you doing? Right. And like, I think that was a huge thing for me because here's the fun part.
So Dawn wrote 2 science papers.
Way
back in the day.
And right, I was co-author.
She was co-authored on the. That's a good way to put it. Co-author, and that was the only way you could find Dawn's name on Google. There were no pictures.
I was really proud. No pictures.
There was no pictures. She's not on social media. She doesn't have a Twitter. She doesn't have an Instagram. Doesn't have a Facebook. Doesn't have a Twitch. Doesn't have a TikTok. Doesn't have.
I don't even
she
know
doesn't have a Tumblr.
She
doesn't have a Snapchat. She has.
I don't have the chat snap.
Off the grid.
Things.
She's not no social media presence. Then Tony night.
Actually, as soon as you got nominated.
Well, yeah, your speech thrust her into everything.
The second he was
all of a sudden, everybody knew who she was.
Yeah, I knew that.
And it was done. Like her picture was everywhere.
I got recognized
because you won the Tony, and then you gave the speech, and then what did you say? What did you say about Dawn? Do you remember?
I just said, she's my world, she's my everything.
Yeah, something like that.
And then we go to Disney World. Oh, we're on the View. We're on the View. And
which I was not supposed to be. I was just supposed to be in the audience, and then suddenly somebody comes out and goes, which one of you is the wife? And I was like, me. And they're like, we're gonna mic you. And I was like, why?
So they come back and
like, why are you miking me?
They're like, your wife's a scientist, right? I was like, yeah. And they're like, can we mic her? I'm like, she's not gonna let you do it.
I was like, why? And they were like, well, just in case they want to say hi or they have a question or something. And I was like, okay, fine.
So they mic her. So then they ask a question, of course. So then a couple weeks later, we finally take a vacation.
They asked me a question, and I was like, okay, you might want to prep somebody. I have no idea what you're talking about. And then they asked me a question about like science, right? And it's about a product. And I work for a company that could possibly supply this company their product. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to actually say anything about what you're asking me. My company getting mad. Like, what if I say this is a bunch of hooey and nobody believes in anything they're doing and it's actually a customer of my company, right? I can't actually. So I just said something really nice and fluffy because I was like, I don't know what I can say. You didn't prepare me. So
right. You need PR.
Right. I know. So then we get to Disney World.
Which you guys are like huge Disney fans, by the way.
Yes, huge.
Like you go to Disney World all the time.
As much as we can.
You've also stayed in the capsule.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
so we're in the store. We're in the store. And lady walks past me. Was like, I know you. And I turn around egotistically. Yes, you. Oh, you're talking to my wife. She was like, you were on The View.
Like, I recognize you from The View. I was like,
oh.
Me? I was like, I'm really confused.
And then she was like, oh, this is your husband. Yeah, I recognized you first. But they were, I was like, yep, here we go.
Oh my gosh. Dawn. Wow. Yeah. Life has changed.
So that was kind of the hardest thing was like getting used to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is great because it's died down now. That kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
when did it start dying down? Because it's not like your career is any less successful.
I don't think it really has died down. I think you've gotten used to it. Actually, that's
yeah.
You still can't go. I don't know whether or not when we went to dinner with you guys, somebody recognized him, but almost every single year, somebody recognized him.
It's true. They did when we would go places.
And for a pretty good run, all of like Manhattan was your face plastered all over, right?
Like,
so
giant
you don't need to be into Broadway to recognize your face.
Right.
What was funny was because I take the ferry to New York all the time. And for a good 2 years, it wasn't like the poster of Aladdin now is the Genie, Aladdin, and Jasmine. For a while, it was just my face holding a lamp. And
I remember we saw it. Yeah.
Right, exactly. 4 posters, in both, at one end of the ferry to the other end of the Hudson. And it was cracking me up because you'd see people walk past the poster, look at me and go, nah. And when the guys who work on the ferry boat finally realized it was me, they were like, oh my God, yo, you know the Genie rides the ferry. And they would tell people, and I was like, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, you're like, just keep it secret.
There you go. No, yeah, I was just gonna say, I think like fame is such an interesting kind of, I'm assuming experience. I mean, I haven't experienced it firsthand, but I've talked to people about like the kind of psychological impact that, it's a mixed bag where you have this sort of love and like distaste for the way people treat you. And I think about you, James, you're such a personable person. You love conversations with people. You always give people time and you get energy from it. It fuels you. But at the same point in time, like I imagine for you, there are, like you're saying, there's sometimes where you get into your white room and you just want to be, you want to unplug, but like fame doesn't allow you to unplug.
Also, you can't, you have to watch what you say. That's the problem. Especially now with social media and the amazing cancel culture, everything you say is bad. And it makes me laugh because the people who are saying you can't say this, they're not famous. So you can't catch them saying anything. It's just a blind, invisible mob of people of opinions again. You can't say that. It offends me. You're like, really? But I have to be nice, or at least professional, so that I don't come out looking crazy because someone was offended by what I said or chooses to be offended by what I said.
But I also we have this conversation a lot, and I'm also like, what is the point of sharing your opinion? Like, I get it if you're sharing like a political opinion, or like, he's been sharing a lot about like supporting like COVID and supporting like the Actors Fund. And, we're going to also make sure that anytime he posts something now, he thanks all the healthcare workers.
Yeah, we have too many friends who are doctors.
Especially like lab folks, right? Like the people who work in the labs who are actually doing the testing are putting their lives
at risk. Yeah.
Do the testing, right? So I think there's a lot of forgotten, the people who are the janitors who have to go in and clean all this stuff, right? Like there's a whole group of people who I think people forget about, who right now are really saving us, right? Like the truck drivers who are delivering groceries, like they're still working and they're still putting themselves at risk. So I think it's a good platform because it means you get the opportunity to say those things. But then at the same time, what you'll immediately get is you've said all these and somebody will go, well, you forgot the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, dude, seriously? like,
oh my
I
God.
can't remember everybody. It's like there's always somebody that wants to try to find the thing you didn't say, as opposed to paying attention to what you are saying.
And we've also learned that there's some people out there who just really enjoy just being upset.
Yeah, they want to find
they want, and I hate to say, there really are just haters in the world. They spend their life hating. They get up trying to find stuff to hate.
Just be negative. But the other thing I've also noticed too, that we've noticed, is that I think also people don't know how to respond to someone when they're sort of famous, or when they're somebody that they're not sure what to say. So like a lot of the times he gets people who say things to him, and I'm like, did you think about what you said? Like his favorite is when he'll finish the show and somebody will be outside and they'll be like, do that whole rap again. And he's like, I'm not going to do the whole rap.
No. I think my favorite one was I was in Aladdin and someone said, oh my God, I have my camera. Can you do the cartwheel?
Yeah, do the cartwheel again. No.
You're like, I'm not going to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. But also they
say. I think they're just like so overwhelmed.
Right.
It just comes out like wrong. Like it was like when I had cancer and people would go, oh my God, my aunt had the same thing that you have. She had it like 3 times. She died. But I'm sure that would be fine for you, right? They would be like telling me about like their feelings.
Are you kidding me?
You're like,
Are you kidding me?
No, it would happen all the time. And we would, when they would say
it, came back like
Don and I, we would Don and I would go,
just don't tell me that.
Like,
yeah.
Why would you decide to say that?
Yeah, right?
So bizarre.
Tell me happy.
So bizarre.
I just want to hear happy stories at this point.
Yeah. Well, and people don't, like you said, people don't always know how to respond, and their brain probably just like leaves for a moment.
Yeah.
First thing,
exactly.
It's like a chicken with its head cut off. They're just like, and they just don't know what they're saying.
I like when people come up to you and they go, oh my God, James Iglehart, friend like me. You know the song? You're like, I just sang it. You're just when I walk out, they're like, oh my God, Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson's coming home. And the show just happened. Like, it just happened. Right. And they're telling me, like, I didn't never hear the song before.
Right.
I have to say my other favorite thing is this. Like, when I'm walking on the side and there'll be some woman who's like, oh my God, right? And then I walk up and I'm like, hi, honey. And they're like, oh. And their face turns and they're like, that's your wife, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, you're so lucky to be married to him. They, like,
you just see you just end their fantasy right there. Boom.
And it just changes.
And the bad part is we always laugh because
his wife.
I have put Dawn's name in every playbill I have ever had. I thank my wife. I say something and I thank my wife.
Cute, and it's funny.
It's basically they just don't read the playbill.
I think it's funny. Yeah. I think it's funny. You're so lucky to be married to him. My favorite question is, does he sing to you all the time? I'm like, yes. The other day, he danced in the kitchen and sang Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer while holding a chicken.
It's true.
And making a dance. So
because in the video, the chicken dances.
Not romantic at all.
Not romantic.
Sang the Cookie Monster song, which everybody saw on Instagram. I'm like, he does not sing romantic things typically to me. They're usually Cookie Monster songs.
Yeah.
Or
but I have a feeling that your guys' love is like solely, like you guys have so much like humor in your relationship.
Yeah.
Because Kevin and I are not like super romantic. We're just like, we laugh a lot with each other.
Very much the same.
And it's like so much more fun.
I love rom-coms. And I remember we were watching a rom-com one time. I think Don likes one rom-com. One.
That is not true. I like several. I like Pride and Prejudice. That's 100% a rom-com. It's not even
wow.
That's not even comedy.
You know, Jane Austen, just a real classic.
I'm telling you, it's awful, but I love it.
I love it too. I love it.
It's like my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, okay, that one. That's what I'm saying. That one and maybe Love Actually.
What movie?
I love Love Actually.
Okay, so that's three. So I was watching a rom-com one time and Don says, oh my God, I just want to kill everybody. Like if we watch something where it explodes, she's fine. Yeah. And I'm like, the guy's like, if the guy has like a washboard stomach and like a chiseled face and walks up to the girl and is like, yo, baby, I'm like, she's like, oh my God, this is so stupid. How would she even fall for that? And every other woman I know is like, oh my God.
Oh my God. Just not the same, yeah.
That's so funny. No, but I mean, you know, when thinking about your guys' journeys together, like it's so evident that you normalize or you excite each other and then normalize each other. So when it comes to like you know your dealings with fame, we've had the privilege to see kind of like when the door closes and it's just
the witty banter.
Yeah, the witty banter.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm assuming that has been like a real like
grounding thing.
Grounding thing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? My mom always told me that your home should be peaceful. And I learned when I was traveling that, and I've told her this before, it's not the house. Wherever Dawn is, that's where home is. Yeah. So, you know, and also I'm Dawn's husband. I'm not James Monroe Iglehart, the Tony Award-winning star at home. I'm just James. So it's pointless to be walking in like, excuse me, I believe she's like, if you don't sit your behind down, I'm thirsty. If you have water, I'll get the water.
Yeah.
We have arguments the same way that everybody else.
We don't have arguments. We are perfect.
Have arguments.
They don't exist.
Anything.
But
we are.
Usually it ends in
You guys sing. Right? It's like a musical when you guys argue.
Harmonize and hold each other's hands.
Tell me, I want to hear one of your like favorite experiences because of all of this, you know, like that came from your
I guess, your opportunities
It's
on
always
Broadway?
going to be staying in the castle for me.
Can you just like give me because I've heard the story. I've heard a little bit of, your experience of it. And I just think it's so cool.
I mean, that's always going to be, I will thank Disney for the rest of my life and basically sell anything they want to them. You can have like firstborns, they can have whatever they want at this point because they let me stay in the castle. So that's always going to be the most amazing thing. Because
there was like a wand, right? There's like a wand that you could point and it would do things.
It just was amazing. Like everything was amazing. Like they take you up this elevator and like it's like opens up into like this room and then there's like stars on the ceiling of the bathtub and like a fake fireplace and then a separate room that has like books and every DVD you've ever seen of any Disney movie ever and like a little refrigerator. And then it just was like a princess room and you can see like outside the windows and like you have like a kind of a helper person there with you the whole time. And I think really it's just because they don't want you wandering around the castle. But it was like we'd get back to the room and the good thing is Disney's really good about always doing things to like surprise you or to put like little things. So we came back from being in the park and got to go straight up to the room and like our purple furry robes were waiting for us on the bed. And then there was like this white chocolate Cinderella carriage with white chocolate horses you opened up and it had dark chocolate covered strawberries in it. And like, it's just little things like that you were like, oh my God, this is like amazing. And then there was like gifts for us and they made us like a glass slipper that has the date that we stayed in the castle on it. And it was just like we put on our purple robes and we went downstairs after the park closed and took pictures in our purple robes in front of the castle. Like it just, there is nothing in the world that will ever compare. We came back to the room and Cinderella was playing on the TV, right? Like it just, there's nothing in the world that will ever. I told him, I said he ruined himself for the rest of his life because there will never be anything that will match that.
That is like true romance, right?
I was like, well, I want to go downhill. Yeah. We went to London. We went to Buckingham Palace. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares.
No. Not a real palace.
We went to the Cliffs of Moher.
That was beautiful.
Nobody cares.
I loved it.
You met the president of the United States of America.
We swam with dolphins. Nobody cares.
Dolphins. That was really fun too.
I really went to the dolphins because Don, dolphins are her favorite.
Trip.
With same trip.
It's just that whole trip.
Same. Those are. It's so fun swimming with dolphins.
I just have like a summarizing thought. Okay. So I didn't. Did you have a question or do you want me to give the summarizing thought?
Give the summarizing thought.
So here's the deal. So Bria and I are we do brand stories for businesses and people, and we really love kind of like all of the different aspects that like make people's and their brands who they are. And at the core of it, the name OneKind Creative, like the idea behind it is really, really simple. It's like you're one of a kind and you're kind. Mm-hmm. And when I think about that story, that's you guys. like
so true. You guys
embody so like better than anybody what that means, what that looks like. And I also love the fact that like the secret behind so much of your story is that it's the relationship that you guys have together, that you can lean on each other and that you can banter and also celebrate each other's wins, because I think that, for creatives, whether you're an actor or you're a videographer or you're a musician, whatever your creative discipline is, I think having like somebody to anchor you is so important, and in terms of brand stories or whatever, like your kindness is what ultimately gets remembered.
Yeah.
And so like I said, when I think about the story of OneKind Creative, you guys are OneKind Creative.
Thank you.
I want to say it's literally right back at you. We choose very carefully the people who we hang around with, because it could be draining to be positive. And you have to hang around other people who are very similar and have similar energy, because it feeds your energy as opposed to taking it. So we thank you guys.
It also says how wonderful you guys are, not how wonderful you guys are as a couple,
Mm-hmm.
but also how wonderful you guys are as people and as family, because Dawn doesn't like being on camera. She's so the only reason why she's on camera is because you guys asked. Trust me.
Yes.
I have
fun,
2 weeks.
actually.
We've been in this thing for 2 weeks now. They're almost 3.
Yeah.
And I have done a bunch of stuff, and they have said, "Oh, we have to get Dawn," and she's like, "No, no,
Just like,
no,
hell no.
no." And I was like, Kevin and Bria asked. She's like, "Okay."
She's like, fine.
I love you.
But also, you make really good cookies. I just have to say that. Like,
I'm pretty
really
good now.
good.
I'm pretty good now.
Are you?
Oh, you-
Yeah?
Actually, I don't make them. I just bake
He
them.
just bakes them. I make them, and then he puts them in the oven. But he likes to claim this, so I'm gonna let him have
Because I
that.
roll them into balls. If I didn't roll them into balls, they wouldn't taste that way. That's,
You've learned a new skill, James.
There you go.
Yeah.
seriously, I am.
He's gonna make.
This is the
banana bread.
time.
Oh
This
my
is the
goodness.
time.
I'm making him make banana bread, so we'll see how that goes.
Ooh,
Perfect.
I love it.
Perfect.
I love it. So what's on the forecast for you guys? Can you guys share a little? I mean, I know that there's probably things that you can't tell us everything about, but can you share a little bit about the direction you guys are wanting to go?
Us as a couple, just being happy and smiling and keeping each other happy.
Just having fun.
And
And
after the whole COVID thing, we're hopeful. He had a new opportunity that was coming up, but can't really say too much because we're not sure it's going to actually happen. But there is a new show that is a revival of an old show that he did actually get the part, but we'll have to
we'll
see
see.
how that actually works out.
I can say that April 1st, Tangled, the animated series, the 3rd season, which is great, goes on Disney Plus. And then April 4th, DuckTales, the 3rd season, goes on to Disney Plus, and I'm one of the voice actors for it.
so
Perfect.
cool.
And what's funny
And
about
you're on Elena of Avalor.
Eleanor of Avalor, yes.
Oh,
and
wow. Okay. You've written some comics.
I have written some comics. There's a brand new comic came out 3 weeks ago. No, 2 weeks ago, actually, called Marvel Voices, and one of my stories is in that. And I'm still working on different comic projects that I can't talk about, but...
And almost every day at work, I spend 4 hours in meetings talking about COVID. So
we might be doing that for a while.
This is a long play.
So as stuff comes out, where can people find you?
You can find me actually on Instagram at JMI Iglehart or on Twitter at James M. Iglehart. I'm not really on Facebook that much. I kind of use it just for family. It's like, cousin so-and-so had a wedding. That's not. That's pretty much what I do. My friends keep trying to get me on TikTok, and the only reason why I want to go on TikTok is so I can make videos of old people doing things you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, TikTok is for me is like Facebook was for my parents. Like I'm too old to be on TikTok. I should not be on TikTok, but I probably will find a way to get on just so
James,
I can go.
you're
I
gonna
have
get
no
on
idea
in-
what I'm doing.
In 2
James.
weeks.
Oh my
2 weeks
gosh.
you're going to be on. I'm predicting. 2 weeks.
I seem really, really stupid.
James, you were like made for TikTok though, because
that's what they say. And every
It's
time I look on it,
crazy.
I feel like I am too old to be on
But the
TikTok.
thing is you don't do the trends. You do you, and like you're gonna blow people away
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can sing,
Yeah.
you can dance. Like you are hilarious. You're a
Yeah,
comedian.
you
like,
film. You've got
just-
shorts in your head. You've got
Yeah.
a bunch of different shorts.
I do. The problem is,
They usually are harassing me though, so
Yes.
I'm not sure that we want to support this behavior.
Well, maybe it'll
that's
channel his
the-
energy into something
that's
else.
the
So he's
interesting
not
thing.
doing it anymore.
That's the interesting thing, because now Dawn, whether Dawn doesn't want to have a digital footprint at all.
but she has one. That's the fun
Now
part.
she has
She
one.
does.
Yeah, exactly.
You're all
So-
over.
Just- what's funny is once we did the video telling people that she had cancer, because we were about to go out to an opening night.
I was bald, so,
So
it's
we
gonna
knew
be
we had to say
very
something.
clear at some point.
But
so.
and everybody immediately asked me, "Oh my God, where can we follow her?" And I was like, "You can't."
Down the street.
They were-
they were-
He's talking.
They were hoping that she would have her own page. I was like, "Don's not gonna spend that much time doing that."
Like, yeah.
So yeah, so Dawn, you're not going to share your Instagram credential, your Instagram handle, or anything like that, huh?
I don't even have one. I have a workplace, which I think is like Facebook for work because they forced me to. So that's about the only,
There
and
you
I
go.
only go on once in a while and put a smiley face or something, or like
There
a
you go.
picture of my cat, because I don't really know what you're supposed to do. So I don't really do very much. And they laugh at me because I just started using the instant messenger at work instead of sending people emails. They were like, "Oh my God." I was like, okay.
Something that I think is really like surprising and fun about you, Dawn, is that you love purses. Like that you like love bags.
It's a problem, and I'm getting over it right now. It's a problem.
We're getting over it because we're stuck in quarantine.
Not much you can do with bags.
But like when we came over, like you showed us the most beautiful bags that I've ever seen, and shoes and bags, and it's like so surprising. I feel like people would never know that about you, that you like love designer bags.
Which is why she can't. Which is why that would probably be her Instagram.
Her Instagram would be like pictures of like Dior, Chanel, like different kinds.
Well, maybe that's your COVID-19 project.
Yeah.
Right there.
I try not to. Like I've been very good. I haven't bought one
She's
for
been very
like
good. Very good.
4 months.
4 months.
It's been at least 4 or 5 months. I've been very good.
I love it. Oh my god.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for
This
Thank you, please.
And and we
and for those people who are for those people who are watching this or will be watching this, I think one of the things that we have not said yet, and I think it should be said, is that the hosts of this show, Kevin and Bria, are our cousins.
Yes.
They are our family.
Yes.
So before you guys start saying, "Oh my God, you got James and Don," they're our family. So bug them. They are related to famous people. Kevin is my cousin. Bria is my cousin. These are our family.
Yeah, and James taught Bash how to beatbox. So there.
Oh my
is
gosh,
true.
so true.
And then Kevin had to learn how to beatbox.
His first
I had to
like
learn how to beatbox.
Batman toys and Batman.
Yes, so I mean,
Obsessed with Batman.
People, I always make jokes because our family is so colorful. So when they come to my show of mine, they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my cousin." They're like, "Huh?"
They try to figure it out.
And then you can see them trying to put it in their head.
Like, I don't know.
How? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, I remember being young and like emailing with Dawn when I was probably like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10. And we would talk about planning trips like during the summer and visiting and everything. And so I just think it's just so cool. I think like you're saying, our family is so colorful and we have, there's so much diversity and so much giftings amongst everybody, you know? So it's really special that we.
Yeah. And I just married up in so many ways. So I'm just the guy who's like, that's my cousin now.
Yeah.
No, Freestyle Love Supreme. Just kind of finished its run a couple of months ago, right?
Yes.
What was one of your favorite moments?
I think one of my favorite moments was there are two. There are two moments. One of them is romantic, and one of them is just doggone funny. So I'll tell the romantic one first. Okay. So 2 different times, Dawn came to see Freestyle Love Supreme. And the first time, she was still dealing with chemo. She's still dealing with chemo. We were off Broadway, and she came and saw the show. And just having her out there, all the boys and the girls who were in the show were so happy to see her.
It literally was the Dawn show. Every single person was like
everybody referenced Dawn because she was in the audience. And so by the end, everybody in that tiny theater knew my wife was surviving cancer. She was in the audience. They had all had a moment. So it was so funny to watch all the guys just I think gush over her.
Started tearing when they saw me.
Yeah, they started gushing. And so then the final night of the show was January 12th, which is our anniversary. And Dawn was gracious enough to let me do the show. I said, no, it's our anniversary. Can I please do the show? And she said, yeah. And I told the boys, I was like, yo, I say the boys, but I'm family because Anise is there and Kayla's there. But I said, can I please, there's this game called True. And they knew I was they said, we know you're going to talk about Dawn. So of course, yeah, go ahead, do True. And I was able to rap about Dawn. And the bad part is, Utkarsh loves my wife. And so I can't rap about Dawn without him rapping about Dawn. It was a great moment. But the funny moment came, we were off Broadway, tiny theater, only maybe 200 people. They don't know Lynn is there. So we always do the show. And this is microphone 1. That's Anthony. This is microphone 2. That's Jelly or UTK. This is microphone 3. I come out. The people see me and go crazy. Because, oh my God, Tony Warren James, he's here. We get to Foundations of Freestyle. And we do this whole thing where the beatboxer beats, does a beat thing and a demonstration. And then we say, and now we bring out the MC. And Lin walks out. There's this man, I have to say it, this little white man who looks like he has never been to a hip hop show before. He's only there because somebody brought him, and also supposedly this is the egg that started In the Heights and Hamilton. Mm. He walks out. This man literally, kid you not, goes, ha, and grabs his hair and goes, ha, 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 ha. So as I look down, his hair is sticking up like this. And I look over at Anthony, who's our host, and I was like, dude, he was like, oh my God. And we all like, the guy is literally, he cannot say, he's like, ha, ha. I'm like, why are you pulling your hair? Why is that the first, you like when you get scared and you don't know what your reaction's going to be? That's what he did. And finally, when it got quiet and Lin started rapping, I was still in hysterics.
I have to say that my favorite, really quick memory is they all came to chemo. They all the Freestyle Love Supreme boys, and Lin even FaceTimed in while he was feeding one of the boys. So they all came to that chemo. I was feeding one of his kids. I was convinced I was actually going to get kicked out of chemo because I had 5.
So many people.
All in this tiny little chemo. But it was very sweet of them.
Did you cry?
I didn't. I knew they were coming because they had to tell me that they were coming because of the tiny film, but I did. Yeah. It warmed my heart. Wow. They did not have to come, and they all came to chemo. I thought that was really sweet.
It's precious.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I remember getting that phone call about the news.
Yeah.
And I was just so heartbroken, but I could not believe how positive you were about it. I mean,
it's the people. I really truly mean that a lot of people have it a lot worse. I wound up I won the cancer lottery. I got one that's curable, right? I got one that I was healthy at the time, right? Relatively healthy, and relatively young, not really young. I couldn't have asked for, if you're going to have to get cancer, it's not actually the worst one you could get. And then I got thyroid cancer. So if you're going to have to get 2 cancers, those are at least the best cancers you can get. So I'm if you can if you're going to find cancer in me, just keep finding ones you can cure or cut out. I'm good.
I love you guys are contagious. We love you so much.
Yeah.
Much. And we can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, next time we see you, we'll
ditch the mics and the camera, and we'll just hang out.
That's it.
Yeah, you'll just be here in person. Hopefully this whole thing will be over.
Yeah,
I know. Maybe the fights will still be.
We know Bash, but your youngest son, we haven't met.
Remy. I know.
Remy. You got to teach Remy some things.
He needs the Batman toys.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to watch him while you guys go somewhere else.
I need to know what I will do is I will introduce Remy to either Superman or a Marvel character, so that because I am an older brother and I know what it's like to have the younger one try to steal your crap.
So true.
They can have their own thing. Perfect. Well, we love you so much.
We love you.
And did you like this interview?
Did you guys like this episode? We did. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
If you liked it, then you could press like.
Yeah, you could press like, or you could even tell us in the comments below.
Yeah, and if you didn't like it, you could tell us why.
Yeah.
So everybody and then say your favorite.
Favorite Broadway show.
What's your favorite Broadway show?
Yeah.
So hit the subscribe button if you want to hear more interviews just like this one. Leave a comment, drop a like, and don't forget.
You're one of a kind.